Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Raisin. We are here with another tips and tricks video, this time for Leona. So if you wanted to play another really simple, straightforward champion to climb in solo queue, Leona is another really good choice. And personally, I think she's an extremely easy, fun, brainless champion to play when you just want to stun people and watch them die for 4 or 5 seconds and have a cup of coffee in between. So if you're interested, Leona is a relatively simple champ, straightforward, not a lot of combos, but she can do a lot of damage if she knows what she's doing. I'm going to talk through some suggestions, some tips, some things I personally think newer players need to keep an eye on when they're playing Leona. And hopefully you guys actually learn a thing or two. Cool. So number one, guys, number one is real nice and easy. We're starting off simple. Q is an auto attack reset. Don't need to say that much about this, but practice it. It's damage. It's straight up just more damage, right? So you auto attack, Q, auto attack. You can take wards, so if someone wards there, you can auto attack Q, auto attack the ward. That's a really common thing level 1. And what you'll see a lot of good Leonas do is if they have lane control, they will sit in a brush early game, and if you can avoid getting poked, then you just control the brush. Even if they put a ward, you just take it. Like, you can solo kill the ward. So very powerful. Make sure you use your Q auto attack. It's that simple. Number 2, your W is one of the most broken stat buffs in the game. It is absolutely insane. So if you don't know what your W does, it gives you bonus armor, bonus MR. It reduces incoming damage by a flat amount. So, oh wow, 24 damage. That's not a lot. But if you think about it, early game, when you're reducing damage by like 10 or 15, it is a very, very large amount. If you think about how much damage auto attacks deal and minions, you are basically entirely removing minion damage from fights in the early game. You can face tank an entire minion wave and take almost no damage. This W, it is insane. Early mid game, it makes you borderline unkillable. And if you notice here, so you get the bonus armor MR when you pop it, and if you don't hit anyone with it, your W bonus leaves. It goes away. You don't get it anymore. So you need to actually maintain your W bonus by hitting an enemy with the little boom, the little I don't know what the sound effect that was, but you got to hit them with the boom. Boom, there you go. See, now you can see this little circle around me. That means you have your bonus armor MR. All right, number 3 is your E and R have cast time. So as you can see, if I cast E, it has cast time. It takes a fair amount of time. It locks you in place. And then your R as well. If I'm walking and I do this, there's a little cast time right there. And also it takes a while before this guy gets stunned, right? Everybody knows this. This is a really common thing on Leona. However, you need to understand the most important part of playing Leona. The way your CC interacts with tenacity, with enemy champion dashes, and with your flash, okay? You really need to keep track of enemy flash dashes and enemy merc treads, or whether they're running things like precision, tenacity, you know, reduce CC. It's really, really important. Why? Because a lot of Leona players will think that this combo, that's the normal combo, E+Q+R. It will not work on merc tread. I just went through point number 4, E+Q+R. Easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, nice and easy. If they have mercs, now this is where it gets interesting. If they have mercs, you have to use other combos. So like, there's not a ton of other combos, but you just have to understand that you're basically, instead of getting 1 second of CC, you're getting 0.7 seconds of CC. Now, that's not long enough for you to do this. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, if you cast it correctly, you can just barely fit that in onto a merc tread's target. However, if you do this normal combo, they're going to get away. So what you actually do is you change your combo up. Okay, you just flip your combo around and you can cast your R while you're casting E. It's that simple. That's it. The Q right there was a little fast for me. Auto Q auto is generally what you should do. So you E, and then during the E you R. So that's the first step of the combo. Get that down. And then the last part is auto Q auto. Okay, so E, R, auto Q auto. They'll be chain stun. Mercs are really, really annoying on Leona. So a very, very important tip is, as people start finishing their items and finishing their tier 2 boots, before you start randomly engaging mid-game, check for 2 things, merc treads and stopwatches. If you don't check for merc treads and stopwatches, you're going to go in on this little Teemo here. He's going to stopwatch after your combo. And if it's not a good fight, you just lost your team the game. So trust me, I've done that before. Keep an eye on that. Number 6 is what I just said. Yeah, so you can E and flash during your E. But if I show you right here, so I'm spamming flash during my E, it only comes out at the end. So what you have to do to get an E flash off to extend the range is you have to flash very early. So you spam E and then almost instantly flash. And as you can see, that's a pretty long range engage, right? It's also kind of hard to see coming. However, I'll tell you right now, the higher elo you go, the harder it is to hit your E against people who have their brain switch on. Generally, you have to do it through Fog of War, or you have to make sure they don't have dashes or flashes. All right. So that's point number 7. So you can E flash. Anyway, point number 8. On every single tanky CC support, I see people making this mistake, which is you don't need to have max DPS in every combo. You need to CC the target as much as physically possible. And then vice versa. You don't need to chain stun someone when they're already stunned if you can spread out your CC a bit. Your goal is to lock somebody down as long as physically possible and make them hate their lives. So do not do this if you don't need to. You know, you can stun, E, alt, you can space things out if you know they have no dashes and no flash. You know, you don't have to chain stun them like and stack all your CC. And I know it sounds like a silly point, but frankly, I think a lot of Leona players, when I watch the replays, that's a very common mistake. They'll just like throw everything out on the target. Cool, you did a bit of damage, you did a bit of extra damage, but now the target just flashes away and you're like, oh, okay. The next topic I want to talk about is the passive, I guess. Leona passive is very, very powerful if you can get every stack off. It does a lot of damage, it does a lot of early game damage, and a lot of burst. Whenever you hit an ability, you can see this little glowy Teemo's on fire. If your teammates hit the enemy just takes more damage. So the point is, space out your abilities if possible. Kind of like Lee Sin spacing out his abilities to get energy back and auto-attacking in between. If you can, it does a shit ton of damage. So give it a shot. Number 9, you can use your Leona E very similar to Nautilus Hook. In my last video on Nautilus tips and tricks, you can use Nautilus Hook to try and like basically buffer a stun. So when you're about to get stunned, I can cast my E. As I get stunned, I will still travel to Teemo over here. Not all CC, yes, certain CCs, it works very much like Camille E in a lot of ways. Certain CCs can interrupt it if they time it right. And also, when you're traveling here, you can be interrupted. One point you guys should actually know about. To counter Merc Treads, you just go Anathema's Chains. If I bind to this Teemo, as you can see, he has the debuff. Thank you, lady. He has the debuff here, Anathema's Chains. Basically, the one way you counter Merc Treads or the Precision Tenacity rune. So now you can actually do your normal combo. With Merc Treads and you binding to Anathemas on the enemy, they will have 10% tenacity. But just keep in mind that if they have other runes like Precision, like Unflinching on the Resolve tree, yeah, the tenacity will mess your day up if you're not careful. I guess the last point I can give you guys, I see a lot of people trying to always go with their E, landing their E, and I think one of the main things you need to understand is Leona is a simple champion. And with simple champions, enemies know what is coming their way. They can predict roughly what you're going to do quite well. So if you're facing champions, which have lots of dashes, you need to be a little bit more creative. You can't just, I'm just going to keep Eing him. You know, if this Teemo's playing well in lane, he might not like that. So you can do things like the E flash I showed you earlier, which again, it's a very simple mechanic. You can also do stuff like, you know, you can flash Q, E. Okay, that's one. You can ER. That's one. But what I would really recommend is, and this, it feels kind of bad when you miss it, but just go for some of these E into prediction R plays. You'll be surprised how often they work, okay? You go R and then you ult behind them. You can kind of predict what they'll do when they E because you're a simple champ. So you can be aware of that and just ult wherever they're going to go. Just be brave is my point. Point number 10 is be brave. Actually, give it a shot and you'll learn that even in like super high elo, this is a pretty common Leona tactic. First of all, you kill them. Second of all, you crush their spirit because they just got clowned on by a fucking Leona ult. They just got mad lifed by a Leona ult, bro. They're going to log off and uninstall the game after that, man. All right. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you're enjoying these types of videos, remember to like, comment, subscribe. My boy Harry is going to work hard on editing these to make them interesting for you. Next season, season 12, I'm going to be going back to the jungle. I'm going to be playing support and jungle on 2 separate accounts and trying to get back to master on jungle. So that's the plan.